Everywhere on March 14th.
I'll leave it to my opponent to claim that they can keep jobs and companies from going overseas by making it harder for them to do business here at home. We will campaign to strengthen job growth in America by helping businesses become more competitive with lower taxes and less regulation.
All right, well, Hillary, yes, McCain, no. Ooh, that from uber-conservative pundit Ann Coulter. Senator McCain didn't sound like a liberal to me on another one. Take a listen to this one from Tuesday night.
I will defend the decision to destroy Saddam Hussein's regime. I also criticize the failed tactics that were employed for too long to establish the conditions that will allow us to leave that country with our country's interests secure and our honor intact.
All right, well, gosh, sounded pretty sound. But then again, Ann, say it ain't so, I know you won't. So if you don't, Jerry Bowyer will. CNBC contributor Jerry Bowyer. All right, let's launch this off, Ann. You're breaking my heart. You're breaking my heart. You're one of my faves. You're one of my heroes. You could be the Doge of Venice. I don't know if you heard the last segment.
I heard some of it, yes. Well, the Republican Party is breaking my part by, running another Bob Dole when, this is an election that ought to be, just in the abstract, the Democrats to lose, and they're doing everything possible they can to lose it. And we're running Bob Dole Redux. Yes, McCain says a lot of good things on the campaign trail now, such as that he will make the tax cuts permanent. When it was time to vote for the tax cuts, he voted against them twice, not for the reasons he is now claiming, because it didn't include deficit reduction, which, by the way, are two different votes, so it doesn't even make sense. At the time, twice, he said, no, these are tax cuts for the rich. He says, oh, the terrorists, it's a treacherous time. We have to get tough with the terrorists. Well, he's campaigned to shut down Guantanamo. He's hysterical about dripping water down the terrorist noses. This is someone who is driven by, it's more than just, the accumulation of 120 years of, his legislative history. It is that this is someone who is driven by getting fawning press from the New York Times. His best friend in the Senate is Teddy Kennedy. He tried to give amnesty to 20 million illegals.
I think that New York Times fawn ended the other day, but
I don't think so. That was pretty mild.
Unless you think McCain put them up to it. But listen, I recommended that when the Times endorsed McCain in New York, that he stand up and say, I don't want your endorsement. Jerry Bowyer, you've heard the great Ann Coulter, who is a dear friend. What's your response? She's being very hard line, Jerry.
Well, look, he's an 8 out of 10er. So what do? You go with Hillary, who's a 2 out of 10er, just out of spite.
2? Where do you get 2?
Well, I'm winging it with the 2. But I haven't looked up her American Conservative Union rating, but it ain't 80. That's my point. So yeah, are you going to basically go for Hillary, who is awful on the issues, who's not even close to a conservative, just to sort of spite John McCain because he's only with us 80% of the time? We're going to punish the country for 4 years with a terrible president just because John McCain isn't sufficiently, perfectly, ideologically in line? That's nuts.
Ann Coulter, one of the things that took my breath away on another program, heaven forbid, I think you said that Hillary would be a better commander-in-chief than McCain. And I just can't possibly buy into that. Help me on that one.
Well, I've been watching all of these Democrat debates, and, I mean, admittedly, part of this is because, her base knows she's a Marxist, so she can get away with being more centrist. But from the very first Democrat debate all the way through, she was absolutely taking a tougher line, and in response to both of your points, and saying, for example, if 2 American cities are hit, what would you do? The rest of the Democrats are holding walking tours of Mecca in response. And Hillary was the one who would consistently say things like, I will find who did it and I will go after them. And in response to both of your points,
and McCain
she is appealing for the votes of MoveOn.org lunatics and the Daily Cause kids. And, I mean, the same way I think, oddly enough, 2 of the more conservative Republican candidates for president were Mitt Romney and Rudy Giuliani, though in some ways their records didn't reflect that because they had to be elected in the Soviet Union. Often, Republican senators from very red states like Arizona, they are the minimum conservative that their voters demand. And as for McCain's ACU rating, you're talking about a lifetime rating. In the last 5 years, his rating I think was about 62, and there were only 4 senators who scored worse than he did.
Yeah,
The obvious suspects, Arlen Specter, Olympia Snow, Lincoln Chafee.
And I did the detail work on this. I looked at the American Conservative Union, because I've heard you say this in speeches. I looked at their ranking system. I went back and read their surveys in the 1980s when he was doing well.
No, this is since 1998.
Yes, I know. I'm listening. So I went through these questionnaires, and what I found is, in the 1980s, there was 1 question on immigration. In 2006, there were 3 or 4 questions on the ACU reading about immigration. So when you say that John McCain's ACU rating is dropping, this is really about immigration. John McCain had the same position on immigration as Milton Friedman and Ronald Reagan, and he's getting, and what you're doing is tarring him as not a conservative for, in fact, being closer to the conservative mainstream than you are.
Ann?
I mean, I think it's completely out of bounds to say that this is Ronald Reagan's position.
He was for amnesty.
He passed an amnesty a long time ago when there were only about 3 million illegal immigrants here. If you saw what happened in response to that, I don't think that would be his position.
Well, I'm sorry. No one here look, you don't get to channel Ronald Reagan. He speaks for himself.
You're the one who channeled him.
When he was alive, he was pro-immigration and pro-amnesty.
I'm pro-immigration.
John McCain has the same position.
But like apparently most Americans and certainly most conservatives, I was strongly opposed to granting amnesty to 20 million illegals.
Okay,
if that's
fine,
your position, that McCain is a conservative because he wants to give amnesty to 20 million illegals, I think you're not understanding what conservatives
So what do we do? Deport 20 million people? Concentration camps?
Yeah, that's the key question. This issue of amnesty is a definitional issue. Many conservatives, including myself, do not believe that the Bush and McCain position was one of amnesty. But I want to move on. McCain is a free trader, in complete contrast to Obama. McCain wants a lower corporate tax, in complete contrast to Obama, who hate businesses and hate corporations. Obama's wife said to people the other day, don't even go to work for corporations. It's a bad idea.
Right.
McCain's health care plan is market-oriented, and he wants consumer power. Obama wants a government to run it. I mean, Ann, these are classical conservative, free market, Reagan-esque positions that McCain's taken, and you won't give him any credit for it.
Yeah, he may be saying that now. Like I say, he's the senator from Arizona. If you watch the last debate out at the Reagan library, he was denouncing working for profit. He is constantly denouncing the pharmaceutical companies as these criminal pharmaceutical companies. I mean, yeah, he's from Arizona. His voting record is the minimum record conservative Arizona voters demand. But, you know, it's the corner of the eye facts. And it's not so much the corner of the eye facts that tell you what he really thinks. I mean, yeah, okay, he voted for conservative justices.
You like Goldwater. He was from Arizona. I mean, Arizona doesn't disqualify
Goldwater wasn't that impressive, and Goldwater lost in a landslide. Goldwater was conservative on economic issues and liberal on social
We're
issues.
now redefining conservatism, so Ann Coulter gets to define it, and Ronald Reagan and Milton Friedman and Barry Goldwater aren't conservatives. Only Ann Coulter gets to decide who a conservative is.
You were claiming to speak for Reagan, and I said I thought you would be wrong on what you'd say about an issue. Okay, then don't accuse me of being the one defining something. I think you're wrong about that, but we won't keep running that one around the block.
All right, can I say something about the Arizona thing?
Hang on. No, let's get off Arizona. We just got a few seconds left.
Okay.
Senior McCain guy told me today that John McCain wants to make the case that he, as a career military man, is really the best guy for peace. That is the aspiration, and that the military know peace will come only with strong defense, strong security, and following through on the war. I want you to both, one sentence on that. To me, that is profound conservatism. The military is the best for peace. Ann Coulter, your thought.
No one who cares about the war on terrorism would demand that we shut down Guantanamo or hysterically campaign against waterboarding.
All right, Jerry Bowyer, real quick.
I'm going to ask John McCain for his views on what's torture over Ann Coulter's anytime.
All right, we're going to leave it there. I guess we didn't get any agreement, but then again, I didn't expect so. Ann Coulter, you look great. Thank you ever so much for coming back.
Thank you.
And Jerry Bowyer, you look pretty cute yourself. Thanks for coming back. Up next, Hillary Becker, Lanny Davis, and Florida GOP Chair Jim Greer on the Obama clash over Florida and Maryland, Michigan delegate primary redo. I think they're going to redo them, just like when we were kids. Kudlow and Company straight ahead.